Shilajit is a powerful supplement known to boost energy, libido, and a host of other things. They normally come in a little jar like this. But there's a problem. The scarcity of it means that getting a good quality supplement can be a little bit more tricky. This also means that low quality and fake supplements are a big problem for those looking to buy some. So buying it requires a bit more attention. But what can you do to lessen your chances of falling into a trap and wasting your money on a low quality supplement that unfortunately recently happened to me? So in this video, I'm going to share with you what happened to me, and I'm going to tell you a few things you should do to make sure that the Shilajit you buy is of good quality. Now, Shilajit is a supplement that's been used in Ayurvedic medicine for a very long time. Its main reported benefits are energy and libido boosting, and it's been labelled as a supplement that can boost testosterone, which is why it's become so popular with men right now. It's formed from the slow decomposition of plants over centuries, making it a very mineral-rich supplement. Shilajit doesn't come from just the Himalayas. It can be from Russia, Tibet, and some parts of Chile too. So don't be too alarmed if you see a product that isn't labelled as Himalayan. I tried Shilajit for the first time not too long ago, and I will say it's not for the faint-hearted. I'm not a specialist in this stuff. I'm still learning as I go. I've bought it a few times. The first thing that will hit you is the smell. Shilajit has a very distinct, earthy, deep smell and a bitter taste that does put a lot of people off. But if you can get past that, genuine Shilajit, and I emphasize the word genuine here, can and has been a very effective supplement for a lot of people. Now let me tell you how I bought fake Shilajit. So what happened to me was this. I was out at a market here in London, a street market. At this market, I noticed a man selling pure Himalayan Shilajit. It was kind of cheap, which did alarm me, but I spoke to the guy and he gave me a whole story about how his Shilajit was authentic, where it came from and how good it was. I will admit I did let my guard down, but I gave him the benefit of my doubt. Maybe because I was buying it face to face, I felt I could trust him a little bit more. Little did I know what I was about to discover. So I got it home, warmed it up in a little hot water. The resin is normally solid, so it needs to be warmed up a little bit so you can actually scoop it out and use it. So I scooped it out of the little jar, dissolved it in some warm water. All seemed okay so far, but once it had dissolved and I stirred it with a spoon, something just didn't look right. It definitely didn't look anything like the previous times I had used it. There was something in the glass that I hadn't seen before. Lots of sediment in the bottom of the glass, a lot more than usual. It didn't look right, something you wouldn't really notice because of the darkness of the liquid once the resin has actually melted and mixed together. But the thing is, the sediment at the bottom isn't a marker alone to judge the quality of Shilajit. Sediment is quite common. It's just that this sediment looked a lot like sand. After I looked into it, seeing sand in your Shilajit isn't normal. I decided to leave it alone. My experience just goes to show that the risk of buying any supplement is the same whether you're buying online or in a physical shop, and you're less likely to lose money or even worse, get seriously ill if you know a little bit about what to look out for. Now the Shilajit I bought was cheaper than usual, and to be completely honest, I chose to ignore all of the red flags that this guy was giving me, so don't be like me. But it is a good idea to arm yourself with some info before you buy any Shilajit or any supplement for that matter. So the place to start is, how do you tell a good supplement from a bad one? Now, knowing what to look for when you buy Shilajit is going to help you greatly. Don't just assume that the cost of a product and a few 5-star reviews are enough. It helps to know what red flags to look out for. Now, I was lucky the first time I ever tried Shilajit that I was able to get it from somebody who I knew personally that I could consider a trusted source. So I didn't really have to do any vetting or any sort of questioning. But this recent experience has made me look a little bit more into what makes a good quality supplement. Things like contamination with toxic metals and the presence of harmful fungus are two of the main things I'm told you have to be aware of. Also, false labeling is a big problem too. You definitely want to avoid things like that. If you're buying online, when you're on the product page, don't assume that all of the positive reviews you read on any supplement are true either, because they can and are being bought very easily by a lot of dodgy sellers. So what can you do to arm yourself? There are a few of the most obvious things you can look for. So here are the 3 main things to look out for to check if the Shilajit you buy online is of decent quality. Use this as a guide or as a good place to start. Now, number 1 is look for certifications or lab testing. On the product page, they should actually show you their credentials, normally with what's called a certificate of analysis. These certificates are usually provided by a third-party lab. So if it has a certificate listed on the product page, give it a look, but don't leave it at that. Check the name of the lab itself to see if it's a legitimate lab. Sometimes they create fake labs that don't even exist. this. Number 2 is something you can only really do once you have the product in front of you, but it's still worth doing, and it very much applies to my situation, and that is to check the physical characteristics. One way to check the characteristics is the burn test. Put a little bit on a spoon and light it with a flame. If it bubbles and leaves behind ash, then you're good. If it combusts, kind of like a match does, then it's definitely not a safe bet. So I'm just going to do this burn test on this Shilajit that I've got here. I've never done it before, but here goes. So I've got my candle here and I've got my Shilajit. If the Shilajit combusts like a matchstick does, then this Shilajit is not good quality. But if it just bubbles a bit and turns into a kind of hard ash, then you're good. So let's see. So as you can see, it's pretty much ashed up. So according to the test, I'm good. Don't do this test underneath your smoke detector because it did create a lot of black smoke and this room is very smoky right now. If the product you buy smells or looks off, then just don't use it. I was definitely right to be suspicious of the sandy sediments in the bottom of my glass. Sediments in general are to be expected in Shilajit, but it shouldn't be mainly made up of sand. Now number 3 is what some would say is the most obvious, and that is to buy from a reputable place. If it's online, preferably somewhere that vets their sellers, somewhere with a bit of a reputation. If the seller after you buy their product offers you a partial refund, money or a discount in exchange for a positive review, then ask yourself if you fully trust the reviews you read before you bought the product. I'll say this as well, even if the product you buy has all of these things and you still feel uncomfortable about something with the product, or you feel a bad vibe, or it seems too good to be true, then by all means walk away or don't use it. You can't be too careful with something like this. Hopefully I haven't put you off even trying this supplement out, because like I said, it can be very good, but you just have to put a little bit more work in to get a good product. I do have a few recommendations of good products on the website, which I will link here and in the description if you need it. But just use some of the tips I've given you to make sure that you get a good product. If this video has scared you in any way and you want a supplement that's maybe an alternative to Shilajit that in my experience has pretty much given the same effects of Shilajit, then there is something I would recommend as an alternative. I do actually get asked about this comparison quite a lot, and I did actually make a video comparing the two. And the supplement I would recommend as an alternative to Shilajit is sea moss. Some people even take both sea moss and Shilajit. There are of course people out there selling fake and low quality sea moss, but I personally feel that genuine sea moss is much easier to find. You can even make sea moss gel yourself if you get hold of good quality leaves, which is something I have done many times, and I even made a video guide on how to do it. I do have a free ebook you can download too, which gives access to my recommended sellers that gets updated quite frequently. All of this can be found on the link in the description too. So hopefully you found something useful in this video. Of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.